All right, guys. It is Sunday morning. We're gonna do a real fast members only for everybody today, and then get to writing.
Yeah. I love these Sunday slates, man. It's just like they're fun. You got like the 1 o'clock start time or noon for you, and then it doesn't go all night. Like it ends pretty early in the day. So I really like these Sunday slates. It's just classic baseball. A couple weather spots, but nothing crazy.
We'll
Yeah.
get to those in a second. I just wanted to tell everybody the website link is below, and we now have weekly memberships. I know we brought it up, but it's only $15. You get the write up every single day. And for those of you guys who are busy, which I know is a lot of you guys, like the write up it's meant to be easy. I know when you go to like some of the bigger websites, it takes forever, but you go through and you just read through the main core plays and then a list of small player pools, a couple of pitchers last night. I know I went with Lopez and Gosman. We had a nice pitching duel there. Gibson was nice. Cash, Reese Hoskins was an absolute must. And it just goes through kind of some of the main core plays. As far as weather goes today, you mentioned it already. Seattle, Boston update, a bit more concerned with the postponed threat. And then Pittsburgh, Minnesota seems to be tough, like no pitching, and probably don't want to get to hitting unless you even love it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Excited to break this one down. Got a bunch of good pitching options to talk through. No like studs, but a bunch of good ones for sure.
Definitely. I think it's there's two ways to look at it today too. Like you can play the ownership game because I think there's some good low owned pitchers. Also, like it's going to be spread out, so just play whoever the hell you want.
Agreed.
Starting at the top, Brandon Woodruff. I think he's only 9'4". He makes a lot of sense. I think he's far from a must. He's kind of owned the Cubs throughout his career, and if you want to buy into like narrative type stuff, they threw at him because this is his third time facing the Cubs this year. They actually threw at him last outing, and it caused a bit of a skirmish. He came out the next inning then and had his best inning and looked fired up. So if you're looking for another reason to play him, the Cubs strike out a ton. I think they're the third highest K rate in baseball. He makes sense, but far from a must.
I agree. He's definitely in play here. He's one of those good pitching options for sure.
Yeah, he's sub 10K. I don't expect 40 here, but he's a good pitcher. If you guys don't know Brandon Woodruff, as a Brewers fan, like he had a little bit of a rough go of it in the opener against Minnesota. Since then, 19 innings pitched, 5 hits allowed compared to 21 Ks. So solid play top to bottom. And the weather in Wrigley appears to be neutral today.
My biggest concern is that it's his third time facing the Cubs.
Yeah, he has owned the Cubs in his career. He likes big spots, and he gets up against them. And the team is, Cubs suffer against them. But if you want to pivot, I get it. He'll be relatively popular.
So do you like it that this is the third time he's facing them?
It doesn't mean anything to be good or bad. I definitely don't like it, but it doesn't talk me out of it because he faces him a bunch every year, and he's almost always really good against him.
Well, interesting because most other pitchers we'd say, like, I just don't think he's any different than every other pitcher in the world where I like them less the more they face a team, personally.
Yeah. I mean, he's faced these guys a ton throughout his career already early on, so they know him and he knows them. So it doesn't, I certainly don't love it. It's definitely not a reason to play him.
No, it's definitely a reason for me to get off him personally.
All right, next up, we got Ryu against Tampa Bay. I think he's a GPP kind of guy. I kind of like it. I think he's going to be relatively low owned today. Good pitcher coming off a bad start against a high K team.
Yeah, I think he's definitely in play. I think you can make rational cases to use him over Woodruff, to use him with Woodruff, to not use either of them. I think he's wildly in play.
All right, next up, we're going to have to fly today, guys, so pardon us, but, slate starts soon. We got to finish writing and everything. I like John Means, just not today against an Oakland team that's won 13 straight.
Yeah, I don't care about that they won 13 straight. You know what I mean? Because what does that mean for DFS purposes? He's just too expensive at 8,900.
Yeah, we both like him as a pitcher, and he's actually been phenomenal this year. So this is not the spot where I'm going to play him, but I certainly can't fault anybody for going here. He looks phenomenal so far this season.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he had that one rough start against the Yankees, but Yankees, I mean, tons of right-handed power. Yeah, I mean, he's so expensive, it's hard to get there, but I agree with you. I don't think it's the worst play in the world.
Oh, I mean, 30 and 2 or 3 starts this year. We both are fans of John Means. I just won't do it today. McCullers, I'm assuming you're not a McCullers guy here.
Nah, I'm not using McCullers here, although it's a better spot, obviously, if Trout is out again. I mean, you got no Trout, no Rendon.
Agreed. No doubt about it. McKenzie of Cleveland. He's your boy or your pitcher.
I know. I like McKenzie more than I like the Yankees today. Big spot for Cleveland. I think he pitches well. I think he's going to have a really long leash here. I mean, I don't love spending 8,500 on him, but I don't think it's the worst play in the world. Kind of looks a little bit like Means to me.
Gotcha. Next up, Flaherty will be relatively popular today. He has been, he had a rough opener and then a really rough first inning against Miami. And since then, he's been good. Not spectacular, good. I understand it. I don't think he's anywhere close to a must. His high K stuff has been K per inning type of stuff. Could today be the day? Absolutely. But I think he's solid, but far from spectacular.
I agree. I think he's definitely in play, but definitely not a must. I mean, honestly, and this, I might have to duck when I say this, but I like the other pitcher in that game more.
Castillo?
Yeah.
I can't go to Castillo today. I'm a Castillo fan, and we'll get there momentarily. I'm going to assume that you're a no-go on Bundy today. I certainly am.
Yeah, I mean, Houston got going in a big way yesterday for sure, so no thanks.
Yeah, and he was good against Houston a couple weeks ago, but Houston is the lowest strikeout rate team in baseball. On a big slate like this, I can't do it. I have significantly more interest in the gentleman below him, Danny Duffy. I don't trust it because it's Danny Duffy, but he's been excellent so far this season, and Detroit is one of the worst offenses in baseball that strikes out a lot. Could this bounce today? Absolutely. We've been watching Duffy do this for years now, but he's been impressive to start the year, and Detroit is not an offense I'm scared of.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like logical not to really like about him here. Just the fact that, like you said, he's Danny Duffy. We've read this book before. That's enough for me not to use him, but that's just like more of a gut feel than anything. I mean, he could be really good again. Why not?
So he's coming in with not very high ownership.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't buy that either. I think he'll be relatively popular here.
Real popular, right? Like, Detroit sucks right now. I mean, that's one thing for sure. Like, I don't necessarily trust Duffy to keep getting in like the mid-20s because he's just not that guy, but I struggle to see Detroit like blowing him up here.
It's a great place to do it for 4 in a row, though, right? Like, this is something like if he was going up against a good team, I would have no interest. But the fact that it's the helpless Tigers with just a bad lineup that K's a ton, I'm more interested in him than I should be.
I agree. I mean, I can't argue that. Like, I got no arguments for that.
You said there's no logical reason not to like him. I don't know, man. We've been watching him for 5 to 10 years. Like, there's some logical reasons I can come up with, but I still kind of like him today, and I might use him.
I get it. Fair.
Arrieta's another guy, not coming in with very high ownership. He's looked better this year. He's not a big strikeout guy anymore, but the Brewers are. I don't love it, but I'm more interested in Arrieta than normal. I probably won't end here. One, because I'm going to watch the Brewers game, and I don't want to root against my team. But he's been better this season, and the Brewers K a ton.
Yeah. Man, they do. I hardly ever use Arrieta. I can't see using him here just because of the slate. But, again, I don't think that he's the worst player in the world by any means.
All right, how about your boy Luzardo against Baltimore?
Don't hate it. Coming off his best start of the year. Trying to think if I watched a bunch of that start. Was this the second game of the doubleheader? Must have been. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't have strong feelings about Luzardo here. What about you?
Oddly, I trust Danny Duffy more and be more likely to get there.
I get that. I mean, and I like Castillo more, whether that's crazy or 500 IQ.
So here's this. I think Castillo is an interesting guy today. Why? Because we have a full career of knowing that he's good. Okay, we know that, right? He's a good pitcher. He ain't been good this year. Could he be good today? Of course.
Let me ask you one thing, because I think we see this eye to eye, but I'm not sure. Castillo's coming in with double the ownership of Duffy. I think that's reversed.
I do too.
I'm not saying Castillo's going to be like no owned, but on a big slate after he's just crushed so many people on multiple massive slates.
Multiple times this year, right?
Yeah, like I don't think he's getting a ton of love, which is a reason I like him. If he's coming in popular, I don't like him as much at all.
I'm also kind of interested in St. Louis in an odd way, which is why I may not end up with either of them on my squad when I know I don't want to spread myself so thin. And a mistake I've made in DFS, and I'm sure a bunch of you guys have been there before, is where you play too many guys and then you have one good lineup and then 2 crappy ones. And if you're lucky, you make like barely more than your buy-in for the day. And I try to really just hone in and take a bigger win or a bigger loss on the day. So I may just be neutral on this one and not play either, but I can absolutely get the conversation around playing both sides of it.
And like, you know how I am about these guys that don't necessarily, like, I'm always like a believer in guys that I've seen do it before. We talk
For
about
years.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time. Like, this is a thing, but so like it only makes sense that like I'm still gonna ride Castillo. And like, again, that might be idiotic, but I still believe he's much better than a $7,600 pitcher. That's all it is.
He absolutely is. There's no question about it. He'll be good, but will he be good today?
Yeah,
Like, he'll be good this year, but I don't know if it's today or not.
And I get it why, like, again, there's 30 pitchers on the slate, why you don't want to lock him in. I get that.
Yeah, so Taijuan Walker's another guy getting a little love today. The Washington Nationals lineup is not very good right now. You know what I mean? Without Juan Soto, they take a big hit. I won't end up here. He walks too many guys for my taste. He's got 11 walks already this year. It's not where I'm going to end up, but he's like one of like 8 pitchers today. I get why somebody would go there. It's just not for me.
I agree.
Okay. After that, Patno's an opener, so he's mispriced. Then we get to Patrick Corbin, who's another one of these guys who looked god awful to start the year. But we have a full career of knowing he's actually a pretty good pitcher. The Mets lineup don't scare me. I don't know if I'm ready to buy into him being good again because he wasn't great last year anyway, but it's very encouraging. What are your thoughts on Patrick Corbin, who's got a full career of being a solid pitcher?
I agree with your assessment. I'm not ready to buy in on him yet on a big slate like this. But I'm not really interested in the Mets here. This is a classic stay away spot for me.
Although there's one Met that I am on board with, and he hit his first home run last night, and he has 5 career home runs off Corbin. I'm assuming with the lefty-lefty matchup, people won't use Conforto. He's a one-off I have some subtle interest in.
I agree. I also kind of like what you said about St. Louis. I don't think the Mets stack is the craziest in the world. I mean, we saw one good Corbin start. We saw Castillo have one good start and then get blown up again. You know what I mean?
Agreed. There's a lot of really neutral spots on this slate, and then we'll have to try to hone in here at the end. So we're going to move past these guys. Fleming has been good, but I'm not really interested in him. How about you?
No.
Okay. No to Bumgarner. That's a 7-inning game.
But I'm seeing Gallen is pitching for Atlanta in that game.
Okay. He's not up here yet. He wouldn't be a guy I would go to in this spot anyway. But it would probably take you off Atlanta bats.
Definitely take me off Atlanta, and I'm much more interested in Gallen than I would be Bumgarner. And the 7-inning game helps the pitchers.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't hurt. How many starts do you see where guys go longer than 7? Jacob deGrom on Friday night, great. Like, it happens, but he's the best pitcher in baseball. 7,
and if they're going 7, they're getting that complete game.
Yep. So here's an interesting one. This Arihara character from Texas has been really good recently, starting to get strikeouts. I think you got to be ballsy to go here, but he's coming in with projected 1% ownership. And the White Sox can be hit or miss. I'm not going to go here because I'm not that ballsy. But for those of you guys looking for a super low-owned pitcher, I don't know a ton about him, but he's been very impressive his last couple starts.
He has, but a lot of this is smoke and mirrors. I'm confident in that, not positive. Obviously, he could be good all year, but I like the White Sox more than I like Arihara here.
And this is another spot where I'm probably neutral. I've picked on him very unsuccessfully a few times now, so I'm certainly not very interested in the White Sox bats. But I also don't have the balls to play this guy.
I get it.
So after that, the rest of these pitchers really aren't guys you're going to be looking at. Michael Fulmer is
probably the best pitcher on the slate. Michael Kopech.
Michael Kopech?
Yeah, Michael Kopech. Yeah. I mean, his arm is electric. This is the main guy that got back with me on Moncada for Chris Sale. At 7K against Texas, he is wildly in play for me. Probably a guy I'd use if I were only making one lineup.
Does he have a longer leash today?
No idea, but I know this is the first game he started.
Okay. If we hear anything about pitch count, that could help me get on board.
For sure.
I'm certainly not scared of Texas in the slightest, but on a slate like this with a ton of pitchers, it's harder for me to get to a guy who hasn't thrown more than 40 pitches in a game.
Agreed, but this is his first start.
Yeah. I don't know if he's stretched out to go 85 or if they say he's
the starter. He is a starter. So I'm much more confident in him than you are.
Okay.
This is one of the best arms in all baseball.
And if you needed the salary cap space, Michael Fulmer's been better, but it's another guy. He's not enough pitches for me. So this guy used to be good. I'm still not ready to go here either. So it sounds like for you, Kopech is a lock, and then do you have a if you had set one lineup, who do you think you'd compliment him with right now?
Castillo is the lock, and then Kopech is the cheap guy I like, but I wouldn't say he's a lock. Depends on offense and stuff, but Castillo is the guy I will use for sure.
Okay. Gun to head right now, I'd probably end on Danny Duffy and Brandon Woodruff is like a safer set of guys for myself, but I definitely reserve right to change that. And we skipped right over Erod. But the issue when this one is weather. If Erod in this game seems fine, I'm very, very comfortable with him and he'll be high owned. But the weather in this game is the big hurdle. And when there's a lot of other guys I like, I don't love Erod enough to risk weather.
I agree. I think that's something that we really need to like. He's going to be the most popular pitcher on the slate if that game plays.
Yeah, if this game plays out, he'll be big chalk. So, we ran right past him, but it seems like there's serious postpone issues here.
For sure. And
yeah,
I've tried to personally like make a point of like avoiding these rain spots.
Yeah, especially in a monster slate list when you have a lot of options.
For sure.
All right, now offensively, we got Oakland against Baltimore. We got Means against Luzardo. I'm a big fan of what Oakland's doing right now. Side note, is there any other team in baseball you can remember as many extended winning streaks over your career or your life of watching baseball as Oakland, where they go on these crazy long winning streaks?
You can call it a career. No, I can't remember it. I can't remember anything like it. I heard
they seem to have a lot of them.
Yeah, seems to have a ton of them.
So, interesting. I don't have any interest in bets in this game. I respect both of these guys. I won't go to either.
I agree. I mean, definitely better spots I like for sure.
All right. Next up, Washington against the Mets on this one. I get your point for stacking the Mets. I think it's an interesting point because I think the start by Corbin last time out and the fact that he's got a full career being a good pitcher will keep people off them. I'm just not impressed with the Mets, which is the big issue.
I agree. I mean, listen, there's not much to be impressed with the Mets about. I like your Conforto call. I think it's like Mets stack or nothing here.
Okay. Next up, Seattle against Boston. Once again, weather could be an issue in this one. It's easier to trust the bats, but the way the weather plays out in this one, it's more like a postponed threat. Now, if the game plays, I absolutely understand why you could use some Boston bats. You got a J.D. Martinez, who would be relatively popular at this price tag against a left-handed pitcher. Kiki leading off. Hunter Renfroe in the middle of the lineup with big power. You just got to wait out the weather.
For sure.
If the weather's fine, Boston's probably an offense in one of the better spots in the day.
Agreed.
Margevicius he ain't delicious.
No, he's not.
All right, next up, Toronto against Tampa. I want to like Toronto today just because I like their names. I know that they have big upside and power, but I've also thought Josh Fleming's been pretty good to start the year, so I won't go there.
I agree.
All right, New York against Cleveland. McKenzie against Tyon. Tyon was much better last time out. I'm regretting cutting him in a bunch of year-long leagues because this is kind of who I thought he might be to start the year, but I needed some guys for some streaming spots, so I might have made a bad move there. This is mostly another game where I'm not super interested in the offenses.
Agreed. For me, it's like I like Cleveland slightly more than Tyon and McKenzie slightly more than the Yankees. So take that for what you will.
Yeah, we'll run back through offenses after this because there's not a lot of places that I'm super, super interested in. I can get on board with some KC bats. I'm not a huge fan of them today, but our boy George Soler hitting cleanup today, extra base hits in 3 straight. We brought him up on the show a couple of days ago. He gave us a 24 spot, so he's on my good side. He's a big power guy. It's not a love type of play, but he's a guy I could see myself using in a GPP today.
I get it.
Other than that, anything else from this game?
Not really, man. I mean, Wilson Ramos looks appealing as a contrarian option, but getting to him at 5.2 is difficult.
Right. He's also significantly slowed down. Had a great start to the year, but he's back to being a real-life catcher.
Yeah, this is true. Amen.
Not some sort of superhero like he was to start the season.
Nope.
All right. Arizona against Atlanta. As you said, it sounds like it's going to be Gallen versus Wilson as opposed to Bumgarner versus Wilson. It's a 7-inning game. I don't like either offense enough to play him on a 7-inning game on a big slate like this.
If it's Bumgarner, I could see using some Atlanta pieces, but Gallen, definitely not. I think people get a little bit too worried about the 7-inning game, though. Like, if you like, let's just say this: if you like a home team that's in a really good spot, they're probably going to win. That's 8 innings. If you like the road team in a 7-inning game, that's one less inning. Like, why is that automatically take not just you but everyone off it?
You're taking away potentially 20 to 25% of their at bats.
Yeah, I mean, listen, on a big slate like this, I can't argue with that. I mean, because I loved Atlanta last night if that game played, but
so did I.
Might only get 6 innings from them too. And as far as I'll say this about Kopech, I love him and I think his arm is amazing, but I didn't realize I was wrong. He started in Boston one game, and you're right, on a big slate like this, man, if we're not assured he's going to throw more than the 40-some pitches, I don't think you can use him here, even though I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, and it could be 60, could be 90, but you don't know. Unless somebody tells you something.
Agreed. There's just, like you said, too many other options, and he's not dirt cheap.
Right, and this is also a spot where his counterpart. I'm with you. I get both sides of the equation right here. You're calling it smoke and mirrors. I don't know enough about him to call it one way or the other. He's been good, but I certainly think he's very plausible to get blown up. We used the common sense approach on him a couple of starts. He's a back-end Rangers rotation starter. How good could he be?
Right, but you know what? Like you talk about a lot. Like he's pitching well right now, and it's not like he's had the easiest spots in the world. I mean, I know I like Tampa a lot against him. I do feel like this is almost a spot where people are going to say, oh, we don't want to use hitters against him, and he gets blown up. That said, like your point, he's been really good, so there's no method to my madness.
And smoke and mirrors can work. Your first start against a team ever.
Amen to that. No doubt about it. Good call.
So, all right. LA against Houston. McCullers against Bundy. This whole slate is filled with spots where I don't have strong feelings one way or the other. And this one goes here as well. I'm seeing Yordan Alvarez is projected to be a real popular hitter today. Kind of looks like he's starting to get going. He's probably a guy you want to really, really short list for cash games.
Agreed.
So Bundy can give up lefty power. I'm not really interested in stacking Houston, but Alvarez is a freaking stud. So if he's going to be popular in cash games, he's a guy you should give, a serious long look at.
And Tucker looks good to me too. 4K.
Bad batting average, lots of power.
And I've mentioned this a bunch. Like he has the most outs like that are expected for hits. He has hit the ball hard all year. That batting average will be changing very soon.
Great point. Pittsburgh against Minnesota. Sounds like this game is tough to play, which is kind of sucks because I would have some interest in the Twins.
Yeah, definitely. They haven't been great either, but yeah, how could you not like the Twins here against Will Crow? I mean, I wonder what's up with this game, but we just talked about the weather. I'm not forcing it.
Yeah. Now, however, if they say the game's going to play and things look on like it's on the upswing, I'm going to be interested, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this one for right now.
I agree.
All right. So Castillo against Flaherty. Flaherty might not make my lineup, but I'm certainly not trying to pick on him. I don't know about you.
No, definitely not.
It's even different in St. Louis as it is Cincy. St. Louis is a nice place to pitch. Cincy's a great place to hit.
Yeah, I'm not picking on Flaherty here.
So we mentioned Luis Castillo. Clearly, we know that you're not going to be using St. Louis bats. They have some good career numbers against Cincinnati, but that probably all came, or against Castillo. Most of that probably came in his first start.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I get your St. Louis call. Like Castillo has not been good, and even though he's not going to be like chalk, he'll still get more love than a guy who has been this shitty to start the year, which usually gets.
Agreed. And I just, I'm never really excited about St. Louis's offense because they have to go off. They don't run and they don't have that much power.
You hate St. Louis's offense.
I like St. Louis as a real life baseball team. I think they are one of the model organizations in all sports. But from a DFS perspective, they don't have a lot of power and they don't run a lot. So it's hard. They got to go off. I know, like, you nutted like a 50K win on them 2 years ago, so you're going to have a softer spot for them than I am. But they don't do the things. So, you got to get it right.
One guy that they've kind of shuffled their batting order a little bit, Dylan Carlson at 2,700.
Yeah, I saw him. He was in the 2-hole last night, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll be right back there. And you could do worse, for sure.
2,700? Absolutely.
He's good.
He'll probably get some love today in that spot.
Agreed.
All right, last up, we got Cubs against Chicago. Like I said, the weather appears to be neutral. Other kind of chalky lock for me in cash games would be Colton Wong. Come off the IL, he has tormented the Cubs the entire season, entire series, going 5 or 8 with 2 extra base hits and a stolen base. Leading off at 3,200, expect him to be chalk today.
I agree.
So great cash game look. If you want to pivot in GPPs, makes all the sense in the world. Not looking at Cubs bats personally. I don't think you probably are either.
No, one thing that makes me intrigued with Woodruff too is he did not have his best stuff in that San Diego game. San Diego does not strike out a lot at all. Still ended up being really good. That's encouraging.
He's a good. You know what I mean? He's got one of the best fastballs in the game. It's really hard to put good contact on it.
Some people are calling him and Burns the best 1-2 in baseball right now.
I mean, they're good. I really like this Brewers pitching staff right now. It's so weird. I talked to you about this last week. Like, being a Brewers fan, I can't ever look at a pitching staff I've watched and been like, you're even like one of the better pitching staffs in baseball. And right now, they may be the best. And if you throw in the bullpen with Hader and once Williams get his stuff going, and then this Feinheiser character is like virtually unhittable right now. If only we had some bats.
Yeah. Not sure I'm ready to call them the top 1-2 in baseball yet, but
With you on that one.
I mean, there aren't that many that would be like locks for me over them. I mean, because Cleveland doesn't really have a number 2 now with Bieber. Same with the Yankees and Cole. And you've got Kershaw and Bueller. It's hard to not say they're better. Or, Darvish and Snell. But I don't know. Musgrove, yeah, true. I mean, yeah, the San Diego rotation's awesome. They're just fun to watch.
All right, so let's recap it quickly. Again, I'm probably going to roll Woodruff and Duffy at this point in a main lineup. Not that there's not a buttload of other guys in play that we've kind of discussed. Sounds like for you, Castillo, and you kind of maybe dipped a little bit on Kopesh. Who do you think you would pair with Castillo right now if you had to set a lineup?
If I had to set a lineup right now, Castillo and, man, it might be Woodruff. I don't think it's hard to fit him at all. No one I feel great about. Woodruff, I like your Ryu call. I do think Flaherty's a solid look.
I agree. And if you want to play Flaherty Castillo, we don't care about win equity. That's a misnomer more than anything. Most great starting pitchers don't even win half their start. So we like pitching duels. And I could see Flaherty Castillo being a pitching duel.
Yeah, exactly. After the first game where they both got hit. I don't know. There's a bunch of good pitching options today, but nothing I love. I'll tell you that.
I'm with you on that one. Now, as far as offense goes, there's a lot of really mediocre spots right here. Is there an offense you're really vibing on? Is there anybody you think is going to be really, really chalky? When I was looking at ownership projections this morning, it definitely looks spread out.
Yeah, and it's really hard to tell now because of the games that might get rained out. So, I think Boston gets a lot of love, or they might get zero love because that game might not play. Same with Minnesota,
Definitely. That's weird that the two offenses that appear to be on the best spots in paper are the two places with potential rain delays. This seems to me for me, this is a one lineup kind of a day. And I will do my best to pick my best spots. You know what I mean? It'll be a little bit of one-offs. Maybe there's one guy from Baltimore that's cheap that fits for me. Okay, I might get there. If Boston plays, JD, Renfroe, Kiki Hernandez, they all make sense. Bogarts, if you can get up there.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, Boston's in a good spot if that game plays. I do think the White Sox have upside. We talked about them. And yeah, I don't mind picking spots. I know you like Conforto. I think he's a good play. Yeah, in tournaments, if Duffy's going to be really chalky, I don't mind a couple of really cheap Detroit pieces. Oh, they're kind of priced up, though. That's the problem.
Yeah. There's no stack today that, I'm going to run a 3-entry max and, just stack 3 times. I don't have one of those that win right or wrong that I feel really good about.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'll say this about the White Sox game. The total is so low. 7.5 for that game. Wow. I had to check to make sure that wasn't a 6-inning game at first.
Makes sense. Trying to just kind of look through some of these guys to see where some of these one-offs could come from. You know, it's another thing. Like, I like John Means, and I've been very impressed by him this year. But Mark Kanya, who's hot, is going to get some attention today. If you want to throw him in your cash lineup, that makes sense. Likely batting lead off against a lefty.
For sure, for sure. Laureano, he's expensive.
Again, Soler is a guy that we mentioned. Trying to see who else would even be in here. Again, I don't want to go all in on like Toronto. But like, I also definitely don't mind a Randall Grichuk. Smoking hot, batting cleanup today. Homers in 3 or 4. He's always been a streaky guy. 3,700. He's a very affordable. He's got a bunch of upside hitters around him.
For sure, for sure. Don't mind that call one bit.
Like, I don't want to pick on Fleming, but one of the things like I like about Toronto is they do some of the things that allow them to be. Now, they haven't been great this year either, but you know, they got a bunch of guys that pop up near the top of that lineup. Bichette will run a little bit.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know, like, you know, lock spots. I think this is one. I don't mind your strategy, making one lineup and kind of doing a one-off type thing, you know, maybe doing mini stacks and one-offs. For me, I'll probably still plant my flag somewhere, even though, like, right now, I'm with you. There isn't, like, a ton of crush spots. Like, that doesn't mean, as I know you know, that a stack won't go off.
Oh, absolutely not. It does not mean that at all. I'm just like looking through some of these plays. Like, again,
Yeah,
I'm not going to pick on Ryu, but you got so many ways to pay down if you want to get up to studs too. Like, you can play a Yande Diaz bat and lead off.
oh, yeah. You said this when we were going through the slate, and I, you know, hadn't gotten there yet. But now I definitely agree with you. Like, a lot of this slate is just like stay away spots. That doesn't mean that the pitcher or hitting couldn't be good, but a lot of these spots I expect the hitting to be okay and the pitching to be okay.
Yeah, Marcus Simeon's another one of these Blue Jay guys who's really started to play a little bit better. He's got, you know, homered the other day. He's stolen bases in 3 or 4. He's kind of expensive, but the Blue Jays are a better DFS team than they are a real life team. Like, at the end of the year, kind of going back to like the Cardinals and Blue Jays could score the same number of runs per game, but the Blue Jays would have a lot more DFS points.
For sure. I get it. Steals and homers, no doubt.
So that's something that I will factor into my equation today. So I'm just going to waste all my money on the Blue Jays. That's what I'm saying.
LOL.
All right, guys, that about wraps it up. We'll let you guys get to work. Again, though, if Minnesota plays, you know, I'm going to be interested.
For sure. No doubt.
All right, guys, good luck.
Thanks, guys.